Hello, Eastern Iowa. Welcome to another edition of Get to Know Gives Back. I'm your host, Quinn Pettifer, Manager of Brand Initiatives for the Gazette. Very excited to have two of my favorite Horizons people here with us today. Katie Oatsvall, President and CEO, and Jim Miller, Director of Development. How's everybody doing this morning?
Happy Friday, Quinn. It's a good snowy day to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Winter's not quite over, I guess. We'll see.
It's not. Welcome to Iowa in the springtime, right?
Yes.
Well, Katie, first and foremost, I think, we're still early enough in. Congratulations. You assumed the role of president and CEO. It's been a couple months at least. Are we 3 months in?
Yes. Joined Horizons in mid-November and, hit the ground running. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jim, you've been in your role now for almost a little over a year.
Getting there. Started in July, but yeah, time flies. It's a great place to be. So
absolutely. Well, I know a lot of people know the name Horizons, but maybe they're not completely familiar with all the programs that you offer. Why don't we just start with what is the mission of Horizons?
I'll jump in there and say one of the things that I think is amazing about Horizons is that it is our mission to meet people where they are at, to very simply improve the quality of their life in whatever way that looks like to them.
That's awesome. And with that, I know Meals on Wheels is probably one of the more familiar areas. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Meals on Wheels is a national program and just one that so many people can relate to and support and understand that, through the Meals on Wheels program, we deliver food to older adults who are homebound and otherwise would have trouble shopping, preparing their own food. But it is that nutrition and it is a visit that is so much more.
Absolutely.
And a comment I would make, I think people are I was surprised, and I think people are surprised at the scale of what Meals on Wheels is. I said once in a comment, 800 to 1,000. And someone said, oh, is that how many meals you do a week? I said, no, that's how many meals we do a day. So again, it's Lynn, Johnson, Washington counties. It's rural, it's urban, but it is a production every day to produce these meals, and they have to go out. People are waiting for their meal, and it is a production to make the food, package the food, sort it, all of that. But it's really, honestly, it's impressive to see what happens every day to get meals to folks that otherwise don't have that.
And from a volunteer standpoint, it's so organized, right? I mean, you have to be able to understand routes, to making sure every volunteer has the meals and the destinations that they need to get to. And the kitchen is such a well-oiled machine. I mean, you step in there and then you step out because you're like, there is a process going on and I am not going to mess with that.
Yeah, funny to be able to share. I mean, we're not allowed in there very, very, very often.
It's an honor, and you
rightly so. We have an amazing team of staff and volunteers that know exactly what they're doing and when they need to do it to put 1,000 meals out to our community every day.
Absolutely.
Very true.
So beyond Meals on Wheels, there's a couple of other programs or services that you offer that people may or may not know. Let's talk about those.
Sure. I'll jump in with that and say that, Meals on Wheels and that nutrition piece is often what people know when they think of Horizons. And we have proudly delivered that program for over 20 years of our 65-year history. In addition to that, we have neighborhood transportation services, which fills that gap in our community for people who need to get to work, school, and other obligations during those, what we would consider off hours, any hours that aren't within that 9 to 5 range, life still happens. And so we meet that need for people in our community. And then finally, through our financial wellness center, assisting individuals and families with budgeting, foreclosure mitigation, rep payee services. And so I think oftentimes the simplest way to share what Horizons does is to say, you look at the pillars of any community and you think about food security, you think about financial well-being, and you think about the ability to have public transportation that gets people where they need to go. And Horizons is so proud to be a part of all those pillars here in Eastern Iowa.
It's that more than a meal concept of, certainly a client can come to Horizons for one thing, but there's usually more than one need, whether it's provided by Horizons or another partner. I've been talking to a lot of other Gazette Gives Back nonprofits through this podcast, and the theme that we're all talking about is that collaborative spirit that our region has in the nonprofit community, which I've been here most of my adult life. And so I don't know anything different, but it does feel like it's a very unique environment in terms of the collaborative spirit and the willingness to partner and kind of know who's working in what circles. I want to go into a little bit more about just the demand and what you're seeing for demand. The demand never stops, is my understanding when it comes to Meals on Wheels, certainly. But how are you seeing trends? Are you seeing any forecasted trends for continued need, growth in the need for resources?
We do see the need always increasing. Certainly, we have these amazing programs and we want to help as many people as we can. With that said, again, that need keeps growing. And I don't think our organization is exclusive to that. We work really hard to partner with so many organizations in Cedar Rapids. You touched on it earlier. And yes, there is this spirit of cooperation, spirit of collaboration to say, what do we do? What does ARC of East Central Iowa do? What does Fort Oaks do? Other organizations to say, how can we help each other? But I think that need is something we do talk about. Certainly there's the financial piece of how do we meet as many needs as possible, but we have to fund it. There has to be funding for it. And that is a much larger discussion of how we do that. And again, the organization, yes, is 65 years old this year and certainly has changed through many decades of what our services are, what our programs are, and how do we keep doing that in the community with needs continuing to grow higher and higher.
And having 65 years here, there's that we understand our foundational services, the foundational needs, but if there are opportunities to grow, to try new things, Horizons is up for it. And there's a couple of new programs that I know about. You want to talk about Animeals? Can we chat about that?
So Animeals recently came under the Horizons umbrella. It has been run in our community for quite a while by a group of volunteers who have done an amazing job, but realized, to your earlier question, the program growth and how do you sustain? And so they looked to Horizons as that stable organization in the community who could really bring Animeals under our umbrella as a way to support that more than a meal model. We already have access and trusting relationships with so many of our homebound seniors. And we know that human animal bond is critical to reducing their social isolation and increasing their connectedness to the community. And so what we look to do through Animeals is provide a supplemental pet food delivery in addition to the Meals on Wheels delivery. We don't want our Meals on Wheels participants sharing that meal with their pet or giving it to their pet in full. We want to ensure they're getting that nutritious meal, but then also that their furry friend, and I always have to say no exotics, cats and dogs only, are receiving that supplemental pet food delivery through Animeals.
That's wonderful. That's a really exciting addition. And again, going back to the more than a meal for the individual, but also thinking about their circumstances and what's going to help them live their best life. And pets are certainly a part of that equation oftentimes. So congratulations on that.
Yeah,
I also want to check in on the Our Place project. And can you give a little bit of information about that and where that is in the planning process?
absolutely. Jim touched on it earlier, and that is we are celebrating our 65th year of serving Eastern Iowa in 2025. But we are an organization that has gone through so many forward thinking evolutions to be able to celebrate this 65th year. And part of that is having looked at our country and the demographics that exist, and knowing that by 2030 there will be more people living in our country 60 and older than there are 18 and younger. That's a huge shift for all of us, and it is no different right here in Eastern Iowa. So how could Horizons be part of this, assisting our community, maintaining our mission? And with that in mind, we are going to work towards the vision of what is known as Our Place, a center for older adults. It's going to be a place where people can come and socialize and receive resources and have an opportunity to participate in fitness, education. You can't do many things at Horizons without involving food. So of course it's going to have a cafe, and we are super excited about what this is going to mean, not only for us here at Horizons, but for the community in general, because as we talked about earlier, there are so many collaborations and partnerships that are going to be put into place around our Center for Older Adults.
Absolutely. And I know the team has been doing a great job setting the tracks, having the conversations, making sure all the stars align to keep that project going. So congratulations on that. With a couple minutes left, I want to touch on, you've got some signature events that you have throughout the year, signature programs, a couple that bringing it back to the food, right? So
we do seem to be focused on food, but
it's
again, food's the great
all great
equalizer.
food.
It's how, you go to someone's house and you stand in their kitchen and talk to them.
That's right.
What we do. But yes, we do have a couple of signature events. We have done an event called Lunchbox. Our mascot is Lunchbox Larry. He might make a visit to you, but yes, in a short nutshell, yes, both in Lynn and Johnson County, we offer box lunches. We have, Katie said it earlier, amazing kitchen crew. We have an amazing chef, amazing kitchen managers. So again, we offer these lunches to the community. So whether you want one lunch or you want 12 lunches for your coworkers or your entire office, we offer those both for pickup and delivery. The best part is all of the proceeds truly come back to help fund Horizons, specifically with that Meals on Wheels piece. So again, people love that. The month of May is Lynn County. The month of September is Johnson County. Go Hawks. We theme it around that. But then our other event that now is in our fourth year is something called Meals on Heels. I'm probably a little biased, but I think it's one of the best, funnest, most clever events, fundraising events. But Meals on Heels, it's not a typo, not Meals on Wheels, but Meals on Heels, that it's all about shoes and boots and amazing footwear. Again, it is one of the largest fundraisers we do. We've held it in the past at the Olympic Theater, and we will be doing that again this fall. And again, we have some twists planned. And again, around that 65th anniversary this year, our committee starts meeting in March, and away we go. But that's a great event for us, and again, really helps us show what we do in the community, all of our programs.
I agree, Jim. I've attended and helped out with Meals on Heels before. It is one of the most creative fundraisers that we have in Eastern Iowa. It's amazing. And who knew a fundraiser could get competitive? But you need to bring your A game when it comes to what shoes you're sporting. I always, that's the most stressful part for me. But
yes, they are really, really serious about their footwear. So
Absolutely.
men and women, I will add. So yes,
Absolutely.
I talked to a young man. He said, "Oh, I have a room for my shoes." I said, "You have what?" He said, "Truly, I have a room." I'm like, "Well, okay." He's and his wife, same thing, but they like their shoes.
So
So
sometimes there's like costume changes, dress changes.
yes, you're
There could be
right.
a shoe
Yeah,
change out for the folks that are at that level. I've got a
you're
couple friends
right.
that could do
Yeah,
that as well. So
yeah.
anyway, so all of these programs, all these offerings, all these great events, they do require volunteers and support uh, for whether you're in need of services. I know that is a continued call to action, but also the need for volunteers, whether it's delivering meals or getting involved in some of these events and programs. What's the best way to connect with Horizons to learn more?
We our website horizonsfamily.org. You can sign up through there. We have two volunteer coordinators. Again, as you said, Quinn, whether it's I want to volunteer to take a route once a week, once a month, once a quarter. Again, what we also have a lot of corporate teams, I will call them, that again they do a route. It may change who's doing it, but they do it once a week. But we have volunteers every day in our building. And we would not and could not exist without that volunteer support. If you are looking for services, whether that's Meals on Wheels or NTS or our Financial Wellness Center, again, that can be done through our website, or certainly pick up the phone and call us, and we're happy to chat with you about those things.
Absolutely. Well, Katie, Jim, thank you so much for joining me today to dig a little deeper into the works of Horizons. Thank you for all you provide on behalf of the Gazette. We're very proud to get to partner with you throughout the year, but especially through Gazette Gives Back. Please pass our thanks and appreciation to your full team. And we're just very grateful that you're part of this program this year. So with that, we're going to wrap up. I want to say thank you to our viewers and of course our presenting sponsor, Collins Community Credit Union, for not only supporting the podcast series, but for supporting the Gazette Gives Back all year round. I'm Quinn Pettifer. We'll see you next time.